Yes, good morning everyone and welcome back to my channel. And now I am discussing about the structure of pistil, then megasporangium and embryocyle. So let us see first what is a pistil. Pistil means it is the other name of gynoecium. Gynoecium is also called as a pistil. You know a gynoecium is made up of many carpels. And each carpel again consists of, each carpel has three parts, that is ovary, style and stigma. Each carpel has these three parts, that is ovary, style and stigma. In a gynoecium, there can be one or more than one carpels also. If it is only one carpel, we call it as monocarpellary condition, like we find in many Fabaceae members. And if it can be a bicarpellary, tricarpellary or even multicarpellary also. If it is more than one carpel, then the carpels may be either free or fused condition. So there are two types according to their fusion. It is called apocarpous gynoecium. A gynoecium can be called as apocarpous if all carpels are free. Then it is called as an apocarpous. And then again, like for example, we have apocarpous condition in case of lotus, in case of rose or in case of Michelia. These are called as apocarpous. That means all carpels are free. All carpels can be completely fused also. That condition is called as a syncarpous condition. That condition is called as a syncarpous condition. So syncarpous condition is most common type. We find like in case of, we find in Datura or we find in case of hibiscus or any other family, if it is taken generally like Solanaceae members or Liliaceae members, we find the carpels are all fused. That condition is called as a syncarpous condition. Now, each carpel, I told you it has ovaries, style and stigma. And in each ovary, each ovary consists of again one to many ovules. Each ovary also will consist of again one to many ovules. And these ovules are arranged on ovary at a specific places which are called as placenta. Ovules arise from placenta. Now, how this placenta is formed, I am going to describe briefly. You know about what is placentation. The distribution of placenta inside the ovary, that is called as a placentation. This placenta is formed on, it is formed on septa of the ovule or ventral suture of the ovule. Placenta can be formed on septa of the ovule or ventral suture. Septa of the ovule can divide the ovary into different chambers which are also called locules. This we find in syncarpous condition when we observe the ovary in syncarpous. This is the transverse section of ovary. When we observe it in syncarpous condition, suppose there are three carpels here. These margins are fused. These fused margins of the carpels, these fused margins of the carpel, this is called as, these fused margins are called as ventral sutures. Fused margins of the carpel is called as a ventral suture. And when this ventral suture grows up to the center, dividing the ovary completely, if the ventral suture grows up to the center, and then that partition is called as a septa. If septa divide the ovary completely, then it is called as a true septum. And sometimes septa may not divide the ovary completely. It may not grow up to the center. Then it is called as a false septum. Like we have in mustard. In mustard, it is a false septum. It is present. Similarly, Datura also. In Datura, there is a true as well as false septum. Both are present. That's why ovary becomes retrolocular there. bilocular ovary in Datura, it becomes tetralocular. Now here these chambers which are formed, these are called as locules. Now placenta can be formed either on ventral suture or on this septa. You know, accordingly you have different types of placentations like marginal placentation, axial placentation, free central, all this. You already know about different types of placentations. So the distribution of this placenta, that is called as a placentation. So from placenta, ovules will be formed. There can be one ovule, like for example, we find example of only single ovule. Example of only one ovule we find in the members of all cereals, like wheat, rice, maize. In all this we find only one ovule. So therefore they are single seeded also. And in case of another example, sunflower. In case of sunflower also, it is a single seeded fruit. The fruit in sunflower is Cypsela, single seeded dry fruit. Here it is called as Cypsela. And the fruit in wheat or rice, it is called as a Caryopsis. The fruit in wheat and rice is called as a Caryopsis. So both are single seeded fruits, because there is only one ovule present. If there are more than one ovule present, accordingly they are distributed depending upon their placenta. Wherever placenta is formed, they are distributed. Many ovules we find in many seeded fruits, like we have many fruits, many fleshy fruits, dry fruits which are many seeded. Okay, that is briefly about what is the introduction. Now here few terms what I wanted to give is what is megasporangium. So few things I will tell you about what is megasporangium and how there is little controversial words are given in the NCERT book. If we just compare, if we give the word what is megasporangium, actually the word megasporangium will refer to, megasporangium means it will refer to the nucellus. Nucellus is called as megasporangium because it gives rise to megaspore and then the female gametophyte. And nucellus or megasporangium is surrounded by integuments. So ovule can be called as integumented megasporangium. So when we use this word integumented megasporangium, then we call it as a ovule. So but in our NCERT book, they have mentioned megasporangium itself as the ovule. Okay, so this from the examination point of view, we have to take megasporangium as ovule only. Otherwise, technical point of view, we have to take megasporangium as nucellus. Okay, now let us go through what is the structure of ovule first. First we will see structure of ovule and then we will see what are the different types of ovules. So first I am going to discuss about the structure of ovule. Let us discuss about the structure, then I am going to give about the types of ovules. So structure of ovule. So first of all, an ovule consists of a stalk and the body. Ovule consists of a stalk. This stalk is called as a funiculus. The stalk of the ovule is called as a funiculus. This funiculus will remain attached to the placenta. I told you ovules arise from placenta. So this ovule gets attached to the placenta with the help of the stalk and gets nourishment from the placenta. And rest of it is called as body of the ovule. And this body of the ovule is covered by, the outer coverings. These outer coverings, these are called as integuments. The outer coverings of the ovule, they are called as integuments. And these integuments, they leave an opening towards the anterior side. This opening is called as a micropyle. So stalk is called as funiculus The outer coverings are called as integuments, and integuments leave an opening called as micropyle. Now, the entire inner space of the ovule consists of the nutritive tissue. This entire inner space which is present, this space is called as a nucellus. So this entire space, this is called as a nutritive tissue which is called as nucellus. Now, inside the nucellus, embedded inside the nucellus, there is one female gametophyte, or it is called as a embryo sac. Embedded inside the nucellus, there is one female gametophyte, or this is called as embryo sac. Now, at the base of nucellus, just below the embryo sac, this part, this is called as a chalaza. Chalaza will be the site for many biochemical reactions, metabolic reactions, and chalaza also helps in providing vasculature. The vascular system from here, from chalaza, it enters into the rest of the ovule. So, base of the nucellus, that is called as a chalaza. Then there is one more part between funiculus and body. This junction, this is called as a hilum. Between funiculus and body of the ovule, the junction which is present, that is called as a hilum. So these are the different parts of the ovule. Any angiospermic ovule consists of these parts. Out of these parts, all are diploid except for the embryo sac. Remaining all are diploid. What are the other parts? Like we can give funiculus, chalaza, integuments, nucellus. All these are diploid except for embryo sac. And what about micropyle? Micropyle we can give no ploidy. Micropyle no ploidy. Because micropyle is a space. Unless there is a nucleus, we cannot say any ploidy. So micropyle has no ploidy. Remaining all, that is nucellus, integuments, chalaza, funiculus. All these are diploid, and embryo sac is haploid or female gametophyte. Okay, this is about what is the structure of ovule. Now I will discuss now what are the different types of ovules and how they are divided and what is the basis. Now, first type of ovule, first category, they are divided based on amount of nucellus present. Based on the amount of nucellus present, they are divided into two parts, two types. First one, tenunucellate ovules. First one is called as a tenunucellate ovules. Tenunucellate ovules means with very scanty nucellus. Scanty nucellus. Scanty nucellus means very little amount of nucellus. That is called as a scanty nucellus. Those are called tenunucellate ovules, and the example you can give here is gamopetalae. Gamopetalae members we can give. Like gamopetalae is one of the subclasses in case of dicots, having all the fused petals. Like we have fused petals, like we have Solanaceae members, and we have say Asteraceae members. All these belong to gamopetalae. So they have tenunucellate type of ovules. Now the second type is called as a crassinucellate ovules. Crassinucellate ovules is they have a bulky nucellus. They have a bulky nucellus means large amount of nucellus. So here we have the examples of polypetalae members of dicots and monocots. Polypetalae, you know, They belong to all dicots. Like polypetalae, like we can take Fabaceae, Solanaceae and many members. Many members they show polypetalae and all monocots. They show crassinucellate type of ovules. Okay. Now let us see the next type, next category of ovules. Next category of ovules. These are based on the second category. Based on the integuments. Based on integuments. Based on integuments, there are three types of ovules. The first type is called as ategmic ovules. Ategmic. Ategmic ovules means it is without integument. Ategmic ovules means it is without integument. So, if there are ategmic ovules, that is without integument, which structure should be absent here? Micropyle is formed from integuments. Suppose it is ategmic integument, which structure should be absent in these ovules? Micropyle. Micropyle is absent. Ategmic ovules are found in parasites like Loranthus, Biscum, etc. Parasites. Generally it is found in parasites. Parasites like Biscum and Loranthus. So this is also called, this type of ovule is also called naked megasporangium. It is also called as naked megasporangium. Okay, that is called as first type, that is ategmic ovules. Now the next type. Second type is called as unitegmic ovules. Second type is called as a unitegmic ovules. Unitegmic ovules means only one integument. If there is only one integument, then it is called as a unitegmic ovule. Like, for example, you find unitegmic ovules in case of members of Gamopetalae. Gamopetalae, like you can give the examples of Helianthus, Helianthus and Solanum. Gamopetalae members, you can give the examples of Helianthus and Solanum. Helianthus and Solanum. Okay. Now, the next type of ovule. Next type of ovule here, the third type is called as, the third type of ovule is called as a bitegmic ovule. Bitegmic ovule. Bitegmic ovule means with two integuments. Ovules with two integuments, that is called as a bitegmic ovule. Ovule having two integuments. And here example, like it is found in polypetalae members and also monocots. And this is the most common type of ovule. Unitegmic, you can also take the example of gymnosperms. In gymnosperms also you find unitegmic ovules. So these are the types of ovules based on the integument. Ategmic, unitegmic and bitegmic. Now next we will see about the type of ovules based on the position of funiculus, chalaza and micropyle. I told you what is funiculus, what is chalaza and micropyle. And based on their positions, there are different types of ovules. So let us see the third category of ovules. Third category of ovules based on position of. So third category, what will we give third category? Based on position of micropyle and then funiculus and chalaza. Based on micropyle, funiculus and chalaza. So based on these, there are different types of ovules. 5 different types of ovules. Like first one is called orthotropous ovule. First type is called as a orthotropous ovule. Orthotropous means all the 3 parts, micropyle, funicle, chalaza, all 3 parts in same straight line. All 3 parts in same straight line. All 3 parts in same straight line. Then we call it as a orthotropous ovule. That means here there is no angle, no curvature. No curvature at all. No angle or no curvature. Then we call it as orthotropous. Examples of orthotropous like polygonum. Example of orthotropous, polygonum and piper. Piper nigrum and polygonum. So here it will look like this. All the 3, all will be in the same straight line. So integuments and then micropyle, chalaza, in between there is an embryo sac. So all these will be in the same, when they are in the same straight line. Then you call it as a orthotropous ovule. So this is called orthotropous. Now the second type of ovule, second type is called as a anatropous ovule. Anatropous ovule. Here the body of ovule is bent at an angle of, body of ovule is bent at an angle of 180 degrees. So there is a curvature of 180 degrees for anatropous ovule. So this is how completely we find the body of the ovule takes a complete turn, and micropyle will come very close to the funiculus. Micropyle will come very close to the funiculus. So this is the micropyle and funiculus. And here we also find a structure called raphe. We also find a structure called raphe. This is the embryo sac present, and we find a structure called raphe. So body of an angle is 180 degrees and raphe is present. So what is raphe? It is the fusion of outer integument. Fusion of outer integument with funiculus. Fusion of outer integument with funiculus, which forms a ridge-like structure. Ridge-like means very thick structure. That is called as a raphe. So raphe is found in only which type of ovule? It is anatropous ovule. Raphe is found only in anatropous ovule. Now next the third type. Next type of ovule. Third type of ovule. It is called as third type. We call it as hemianatropous ovule. Hemianatropous ovule. Third type of ovule is hemianatropous. Like for example, it is found in primula and ranunculus. Primula and ranunculus. Anatropous ovules are generally found. Example, you can take the members of Asteraceae here. Like sunflower and all, Asteraceae can be taken. And here primula and ranunculus. This is the T-shaped ovary. It is called as a T-shaped ovary. That means the angle of curvature is 90 degrees. The ovule is bent to an angle of, exactly it shows 90 degrees curvature. So comes exactly like this. Body of the ovule is bent to an angle of, it shows 90 degrees. So this bending, this is called as a hemianatropous. This is called hemianatropous. Hemianatropous, or it is half of the anatropous condition. Now the fourth type is called as campylotropous ovule. Campylotropous ovule. Fourth type is called as a campylotropous ovule. So here the angle of curvature is between 90 to 160 degrees. Angle of curvature in campylotropous 90 to 160. That means it is a little more bent compared to hemianatropous. So little more the micropyle will come closer to funiculus. So, and that means here embryo and this also shows some bending. Here the body of the ovule will show some bending. This is how the body will show bending. Campylotropous is found in the members of, you can write here the example, take the example here, members of Fabaceae. In Fabaceae members, you find campylotropous ovule. This is called campylotropous. So here very important is the curvature. Curvature is very important, how you have to understand. Mainly questions will be based on the direct curvature, and sequence questions you can get. Sequence questions means distance between micropyle and the micropyle and the funiculus, which has minimum, which has maximum distance, or curvature ascending or descending sequence. Okay, now next one. Next type, let us do another type. One more type you have is fifth type called as amphitropous ovule. Amphitropous ovule. So in amphitropous ovule, the curvature is 160 degrees is the curvature. That means it is more than the campylotropous but less than anatropous. More than campylotropous but less than the anatropous ovule. And here both the embryo sac and body of the ovule, they are curved like horseshoe shaped. What do we find horseshoe shaped? Both body of ovule as well as embryo sac. Both we find completely curved. So this is how it will look like. It is more than this. So you have to show slightly closer, and also there is a curvature. So this is how it shows some curvature, and even the embryo sac also. The embryo sac also shows curvature like horseshoe shaped curvature. So embryo sac also will show some curvature. The body of the ovule will show some curvature, and even embryo sac also will show the curvature. So mostly say this is how you can find completely curved ovule you can find. So this type is called as a amphitropous. Like examples you can take for amphitropous like papaver. Papaver is one example, and alisma and butomus. Papaver, alisma and butomus. So this is called as a amphitropous. Okay, now the last type of ovule here. Last type of ovule is called as sarcinotropous ovule. Sixth type is called as a sarcinotropous ovule. This is found example in case of Opuntia. Generally in Cactaceae members like Opuntia and Plumbago. Cactaceae members like Opuntia and Plumbago. So here the ovule shows a curvature of 360 degrees completely. So here all we have seen how it is bending, but here it takes a complete turn. It takes 360 degrees. 360 completely, so that when it is taking complete 360 degrees, then funiculus completely surround the body. Funiculus completely surround the body like a watch spring. It will completely surround the body like a watch spring. Completely it will surround. So this is how you can find completely surrounding it. So this ovule, when you find it, this is how it can be completely present. So in the diagram, I will show you how it can be completely surrounding. This type, the funicle will be present in this manner. It will be completely in this way surrounding. This is which is surrounding this. This is the funicle. Like a watch spring, it is going to completely surround the body of the ovule. That is called as a Sarcinotropous ovule. Because this is the embryo sac, this is micropyle, and this end is called chalaza. So here also if we take in the orthotropous, all are in same straight line, micropyle, chalaza and funicle. But in anatropous, what do you find? We find only micropyle and chalaza. Only these two are in straight line, but not the funiculus. Only micropyle and chalaza. Similarly here also, only micropyle and chalaza, these are in same straight line. Same straight line. Here also we find the same. Campylotropous also we find only micropyle and chalaza are in the same straight line. Here slightly it will change because embryo sac is curved. Slightly the micropyle and chalaza will not be in a straight line in case of only Amphitropous. Remaining all we find micropyle and chalaza in straight line, except in case of Orthotropous where all the three are in straight line. And in Amphitropous, micropyle and chalaza are not in the same straight line. Okay, these are all different types of ovules which I discussed. Lastly, about little two extra points here I want to discuss it with respect to the structure of ovule. Two extra points, two extra terms I wanted to discuss with respect to that. The first one is, what is endothelium? These are related to the structure of the ovule, endothelium. So endothelium, it is the nutritive tissue. Endothelium means it is a nutritive tissue which develops from, inner layer of integument. That means it is just like nucellus. Some layer of integument also develops into nutritive tissue, that is called as endothelium. It is generally found in tenunucellate ovules. We already discussed what is tenunucellate ovules, which have very little nucellus. So this will develop as a nutritive tissue. So this is also called as integumentary. Nucellus. So example, tenunucellate ovules means already you have written the examples, like for example gamopetally members. Example is gamopetally members. Like you can give the family Asteraceae. like family Asteraceae. Okay, one more structure I would like to give you is one more structure related to the ovule. One more structure related to the ovule. This is called as obturator. This is called as obturator. Obturator is a structure of ovule developing mostly from funiculus. Obturator is a structure generally developing from funiculus, or it is also developing from placenta, or sometimes both, either funiculus or placenta or both. Funiculus, placenta or both. So its function is it guides the pollen tube. It guides the pollen tube towards embryo sac, towards the embryo sac through micropylar region. You know, the pollen tube can enter into the ovule by any ways, but when it has to enter into the embryo sac, it has to enter only through micropylar end. So this obturator will guide the pollen tube entering into the embryo sac. Okay, so this is what I wanted to discuss in this video, my dear subscribers, all my dear viewers and all my dear students. So here I will conclude my video. In my next video, I am going to continue with this topic. I have to complete, I want to discuss about this development of embryo sac, development of female gametophyte, development of embryo sac, and also structure of embryo sac. So that's all for now, my students. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you understood. I need your feedback. If you have understood or if you have not, or any other suggestion, please write in the comment box. I'll be very happy to look at it and then try to present myself in a much better way. So thank you very much. Please do subscribe my channel, like it, and please share to the maximum extent. So thank you very much.